Toni and Judd, welcome. How are you doing this evening?
Wonderful. I'm doing great.
We're doing great. Yeah. I'm zooming in from California, where I live when I'm not filming, and it's actually really beautiful here. So I can still go for my quarantine walks occasionally, but
yeah. And I'm over here East Coast in Atlanta, and just staying home like everyone else. Thought it'd be good to bring the camera outdoors a little bit, and yeah, no, it's great. And this getting to do this is kind of, I think I was saying this before we went on the air, this is the highlight of my month.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice. Listen, I put on deodorant even though no one can smell me. This is huge.
I took a shower.
My first time.
Thank you both for that. Everybody greatly appreciates it.
I was in pajamas for the past 6 weeks, so.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we have some folks who have questions for you. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to the questions and get started with the Q&A part. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, sure thing. So first question's for you, Toni and Judd. Toni, why don't you go first? You're wearing USO shirts. Do you do this often?
Ooh, this is my first, Zoom Q&A. This is for me, but Judd and I try to do a lot with the USO when we can. I got my Spiffy shirt going on a USO tour this summer. So it was so exciting. I went on a Chiefs tour, so I went with the National Guard all over the world. It was really fun. So I try to work with the USO whenever I can.
How about you, Judd?
Almost the exact same answer, except where I got my shirt. I don't have the USO shirt on now, but I've got several of them that I wear all the time. And from participating in several different events, I think I picked up a shirt at one of the Fleet Weeks, over with the USO in South Carolina when I visited one of the bases there. So yeah, I've got lots of USO swag, but it is something that I think Toni and I both thoroughly enjoy. The first time we ever did an event with the USO was probably Fleet Week a few years back, right?
Yeah, well, I think actually, it may have been for you. For me, it was the opening of the new Los Angeles at the LAX Bob Hope USO Center.
Oh, yes. No, I was there too.
Right. So that was when I was sort of introduced to the USO. So it was a couple years ago now.
All right.
Yeah, and both of us told the USO representatives, anything you need, let us know. And so we both of us thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. And it sounds like you both have a fair amount of experience going on tour. Have your visits affected how you work on SEAL Team? How has that played into things?
Oh my gosh. I felt, I was fortunate enough to go on the USO tour right before we started season 3. And I, was just sharing that I thought it was so impactful. We tell these stories the best that we can, but seeing them close up, I was saying when we sort of filmed season 3's deployment, which we're airing right now, filming those deployment scenes felt totally different, having experienced service members that were so far away, different climates, all sorts of things, like even silly things. Like I was like, I really want to, change, seeing some fundamental detail, like my hair or something. I want this climate to affect me differently, like, because it does, having been in 127-degree heat and how all these service members deal with that. I was like, oh, there's all these things that you don't think about when you're, portraying these characters, that you need to get down to the nitty-gritty details. So I found it so helpful.
Mm-hmm. So, Judd, this question's for you. Sorry about that. This is a long question. How do you prepare? And when you are there, how do you make things look so realistic?
Oh, wow. Man, it's a great question. For me, I think and Toni might have the same thoughts on this, for us, what we do so much on the show, what we do is diplomatic work. Getting up there, letting the team know what's in store, what the mission is, the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's. And then on a mission, we're responsible for all the ISRs and the calls from this diplomat and this ambassador, and it's all coming in. And as far as how we do it, I'll be honest, it's super tough sometimes when you get handed this dialogue a few days before you shoot with new acronyms, countries and names you would never say in real life. And so the key, I think, is repetition, 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 because you have to say it like it comes out of your mouth every day. But it's certainly a challenge. And the only way to do it is to run it 1,000 times. And Toni and Jess, who plays Mandy, since we're in so much together like that, I mean, we'll get together in the makeup room and just run it over, to try to get some realism. So the fact that someone's asking, how do you make it look so realistic? Thank you for saying that, because we sure as heck try, you know, and the only way to do it is just repeat.
Well, we do have a little bit of a problem sometimes because we get so comfortable with things, and like it'll be high stakes situation, but from our vantage, we're saying, well, this happens all the time. So
yes.
Judd and I are trying to run through with sort of not a casual, but a calm energy, even though the stakes are high. And we might have a guest director that comes in that's like, no, you know, how often does
really
the ISR go out? You know, and you're like, a lot, you know, like
every week.
Right. So we have to remind ourselves that it's television, and we do need to increase some of the tension that maybe you service members that really know you wouldn't get maybe as panicked or as worried. You wouldn't sort of tip your hand in that way, but because we are acting and trying to tell those inner stories, we might show a little bit more concern and panic to keep the drama up.
Yes, and one more thing I want to add too is that thankfully we have so many consultants that are always nearby, and so even you know, you'd say, well, what do you guys need consultants for? You know, you're just rattling off the instructions or whatever. But there's little things that come up all the time where we're in the room and it's like, okay, is the whole room hearing what Jason's saying, or is it just Blackburn or just Davis? You know, is okay.
Figuring out which
what radio
that come,
which radio? Yes, which radio is this? The same radio that would call to get our the rescue to come, or we'll use the cell or the satellite phone or the
things we would never know. So we're grateful that it looks like we're so lucky that we have military consulting producers and advisors 3 feet from us at all times to say like, don't hold this like.
So in terms of plot line, Cheryl wants to know if Toni and AJ will get back together. She loves you. It's her favorite show. And Judd, thank you for the visit to the South Carolina USO.
Cheryl, I can't. You want a spoiler? Is this what you came on here for? A spoiler? Yes, the dance of Cerebus, the Cerebus dance. Will Sonny and Davis get back together? We well, right now, if you're watching the show, you know that Sonny's character had to go back to Texas for some special training, sort of a punishment, actually. And then I'm deployed, so we are experiencing some time apart, and you know where we are right now in our journey is trying to navigate if we can be away from each other. So that's really that's the big question right now. So I don't want to give too much away. I want you to keep watching for years and years and years.
Stay tuned.
All right. So on that line of questioning, Matthew wants to know, so excited about tomorrow's episode. Is season 4 in the works?
I think, Judd, I mean, I feel like we can say.
Here's what I've been saying, because this is the honest truth. We don't know anything. We haven't been told anything official, but I'm super optimistic.
This is what I would say too. We've been told that I think everyone's hearts and minds in terms of the writing, like there's forward motion happening behind the scenes, but in terms of the people that are giving us the official green light and pulling the trigger, we haven't heard, but we are all as a family and a cast preparing as if we are continuing on.
That's great to hear. Angela says, hello from Okinawa, Japan. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
What's up?
Very cool.
Says, is there any plans into the storyline to show the importance of Fleet and Family Support Center in the lives of service members and their families?
Ooh, this is a storyline that we've been pushing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many incredible organizations that we've been exposed to. Like, I'm a big advocate and fan of TAPS, And there's some, we've met so many different wonderful outreach organizations that I think are so integral to the family networks of service members, active or otherwise. And I'm really hoping that we do. I want to say yes, just because if we continue to do 20 episodes a season for any amount of time, I have to believe that we're going to touch upon that very important aspect of the community. So I'm
all right.
Even now, seeing the stuff that they've done in quarantine, like with the activity, USO handing out activity boxes to certain centers. We would have endless story content to use if they really started to, I think, investigate all of the different outreach programs.
Bob would like to know how long it takes to create each episode, and if you can give a little bit of context of what you need to do to prepare.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes us 8 days to shoot an episode, 8 days per 1 hour episode. We don't shoot on the weekends. 8 weekdays. If we've been very fortunate this past season that Judd and I and the cast, we get our scripts. We're getting them in a really good time. There have been in past seasons where we might get them the day before, something really scary. But now we're in a beautiful routine where we're getting our scripts 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance. There'll be some minor changes, so we can kind of like marinate and learn those stories well in advance. Like when we stopped filming, we were filming episode 20, I guess, but we already had till the end of the season. We had all those scripts.
Right.
And preparing, Judd, go on. You want to tell them about your printing?
My biggest preparation is I want to make sure. It's funny because the scenes that we shoot, for instance, when Toni and I typically, and Jess, when we're in the talk and have it, and we're shooting those scenes throughout the episode that you're watching, those scenes that you see us when it cuts back to us and we're like, 10 mics out, blah, blah, blah. It happens over time in the episode. But what we typically do is we get together and we shoot all of those scenes in one single day.
Yeah, it's
so kind of it's a mental boom. It's crazy. But one of the things that I like to make sure, as far as preparation goes, is I want to make sure, and I know Tony's the same way, and sometimes we have to lean on each other depending on how far in advance we did get the script. But it's imperative that we know, okay, this is the 4th time they're cutting to talk, and it's only for a few seconds, but this is going on. But we need to know the rest of the story, how this pertains to the mission, because when you get your sides, what they call sides, the little scripts that we get for the day, they only have that day's work on the paper.
Yeah. So you have to know everything so detailed, and also like to remember what you're hearing, because when we were filming these information-centric logistics scenes out of context, can be really hard. We rely on people to remind us, like, you just heard a giant explosion. You're like, oh, okay. Because you're just rattling off information, you can kind of get a little disoriented. So we want to try to keep up with the pace, progression, climax of the episode, so that we don't lose track or not stay with the temperature of the scene when you're watching it. Yeah.
Along that line, Jeff wants to know how Cerebus can deal with all the action and noise, as she always seems calm.
Oh, Dita. So Dita plays Cerberus, the Hound of Hades. And she's actually trained as a narcotics dog. And Melnick, Justin Melnick, who's her owner, who plays Brock Reynolds on the show, does a ton of training with her, works her weekends. Like whenever we're just trying to recover, he's off jumping out of helicopters and planes and doing impossible stunts with her to, I think, really kind of desensitize her from that. What would you have to say, Judd, about that?
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty well behaved. I mean, when Dita knows when it's time to work, and Justin will remind people, because sometimes Yeah, she's working on that.
I'm the worst. I'm like, oh my Dita. And he's like, go talk to her.
I'm terrible. Every time she comes on set, I want to go, Dita. And Justin's like, she's working. Okay.
Yeah.
And but yeah, she stays in that zone and she listens for the cues. And
Think about
when they say rolling,
yeah, they
like
wanna.
when you know, in what we do, when each scene comes up and we're about to shoot, it'll be like, okay, all right, quiet, ready, set, okay, rolling, action. When they do the rolling, you can see Dita. I mean, she's
ready.
She's awesome. Yeah. So it doesn't take much. She's very well trained.
She's very well trained. We always laugh because when people will, Justin's going somewhere with her at the airport or something, and they'll be like, your dog loves me. And Justin's like, you have drugs in your bag.
Yeah.
I don't know how much she loves you. She's just trained.
All right. So the next question is, you've filmed all over the world, so it seems, in bamboo forests and deserts and other locations. Are some areas easier to film than others? And do you have a favorite?
Go ahead, Toni. You take that one.
Well, I was going to defer to you because I don't have to go out into the field as much. Judd's had the occasion to go out into the field a bit more. We both saw some action this season. Judd more than me. We've been so fortunate to be able to travel a bit. Like this year, we went and filmed for a month in Serbia. Last year, we went to Puerto Rico. But other than that, it's a lot of movie magic, but it is unpleasant. Nothing compared to the real thing, so I don't want to get too dramatic here, but they do, when it's desert and swampy and snow, all that stuff, that's real. But we do have to remind the gentleman, like, you can have a protein shake anytime, you're not in any danger. It's okay.
No one's really shooting at you.
No one's really shooting at you. But yeah, they do create it, and it's unpleasant, and I know the gear's super heavy. Judd, you certainly could speak to this more than I could.
Yeah, no, it's everything you said is totally correct. The gear is heavy, and when it's hot, it's hot.
Yeah.
There's been cold. I was going to say there's been some nights where we've shot up north of Los Angeles in the Santa Clarita area where our Afghanistan deployment takes place, which is up in the
so cold.
Yeah, and I remember season 1 or 2. I can't remember what it was, but it was season 1, because being a Southern guy, like, I'm not good with cold weather, and I go out to California to shoot, and nobody's told me that it gets cold in California, and we're out there shooting, and it was like 26 degrees, and you have to wear what you're wearing in the scene, like.
But it gets even worse. Like, they won't see David's episode yet. They'll have to wait to see that, because but David's episodes all take place. We filmed up in Big Bear, so that was filmed up in snowy mountains, and for reals, snow blizzard. Beautiful. The footage that I saw of that episode is absolutely stunning. But we're not faking the heat. We're not faking the cold.
All right.
So here's a question for you. The character development is clearly a tireless effort on the part of you and all of the other actors in the show. Is it difficult to turn off when the camera stops filming?
No.
Yes and no. Well, for me, no, in a way, because when I go to work and the Blackburn voice comes on, it stays on like until I've had a couple days off. So in that aspect, I kind of stay in that Blackburn mode for a while. But as far as the personal interaction with the cast members and whatever, that's pretty easy to kind of snap back out of it,
Yeah, I don't find it's too hard. I mean, I like stepping into Davis's shoes. I like the way Davis sees the world, and how guarded she is, and I mean, I love so much of aspects of playing her, but she is a different temperature than I am. I'm just a much more sort of effusive, animated person.
Mm-hmm.
It can stick with you if you've had a particularly long day, but I would say left to my own devices, I'm just, I was a theater kid, so I'm just more excitable
Yeah.
and dancing and singing and doing all sorts of crazy stuff with Judd. Like, then Davis is real. Davis isn't a smiler. She's not a smiler, and I am.
Yeah.
Trisha has a two-part statement. The first is she wants to thank Judd for your support of the USO, and she would also like you to bring Toni back with you if and when you visit the second time.
He never
Where?
brings me
To
anywhere.
where's this from again?
USO, South Carolina.
Oh yeah. What's up?
All right.
South Carolina?
What am I, chopped liver, Judd?
No, you're coming.
Okay.
All right, we'll sign you up. The second part of the question is, do you train with actual Navy SEALs?
Without a doubt.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many around. We've got, oh my gosh. Well,
SEAL, Delta Force guys. How many? I don't know. Half a
there's
dozen.
so many
each there
everywhere.
every day.
They're all tier one guys. Like, even our EP, is a SEAL. We've got 2 tier 1 SEALs in the writers' room.
Right.
Is it Delta for all of our consulting producers? I mean, they're all over the map.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, not only are they consulting producers, they're in the cast. So,
Right. So just on a given day, we
Scotty
might
Fox,
have
Tyler Gray,
Chase,
Chase,
and Garrett
Garrett,
skills.
Holden.
There as consultants, but then at the same time, you'll have Tyler Gray
Yep.
and Scotty Fox in the scene with
in the
us.
scenes. So,
So,
they're always with us.
Always.
Yeah.
All right.
You're really, really spoiled. And in addition to, I know we're not supposed to talk too many numbers, but we've got like 200 plus that's in our crew. Just we do in every department. We try to make sure that we're hiring veterans.
Yeah, and it is invaluable to have them all there.
All right, next question from Matthew is, have either of you picked up any hobbies based on the things you do on the show for your characters? For example, going to the shooting range.
Oh, I have not picked up that hobby. Judd?
Yes. In fact, it's one of the things that really got me upset about this quarantine is that I was really prepared over the break to get some shooting in, and I haven't been able to do so because we're staying home. So, yeah, I've picked up a little bit of that. I really enjoy it. I started, I think it was at Fort, the one out in the Mojave Desert, Fort Irwin. Fort Irwin?
I don't know.
Irwin or Irvin. Anyway, I went out there for a what do you call it? A day of,
What? Training?
I'm drawing a blank here, the word. Immersion. Thank you. Immersion.
Oh, yes. I remember when you did that. You did the total immersion day.
Yeah, I did a total immersion program with the Army out there. And that was the first day that I got a taste of, like, actually, rather than handling the props, but actually shooting them. And I was like, ooh. And then when I went down to McCready in South Carolina, same thing. When I went out to Colorado Springs last spring, same deal. And so I said, all right, I'm going to join the range back home, and I'm going to get some shooting in this spring when we're off. And hopefully when this is all over, I'll get some in.
I think I wouldn't say it's a hobby, but it certainly has opened up my eyes to all of the different just programs and aspects of the military that I wasn't aware of. So, in my hiatus time, I try to get involved with military organizations that, are dealing with women's issues or, advocating for the LGBTQ community, like just all sorts of, the military is made up of everyone. So it was such a beautiful opportunity to get involved in so many different ways. And so I've been exposed to a lot of different organizations that I never would have even known about had I not been on the show. So for that, I'm very grateful.
Speaking of which, Jeff says, thanks from Dubai. As a former British military member and QRF team, we watch every episode and up to episode 17 of season 3. We thank all of the crew for making it look so real. And the reality is that it is a family. The military, we're sure that your cast and crew is a family in its own right. But are your actual families military related? Do they have ties?
Juddy?
Yeah, yes. And thank you for saying that. Go QRF.
Yay. Hey, Dubai. That's awesome.
Yes, I've got, man, I can't even count them, but cousins, every one of my uncles, my father-in-law, my grandfather, all veterans. And so, yes, I never served, but my immediate family is very, very much so a military family.
Yes, I have, my family is a military family as well. I was just saying I've got a nephew that's serving in the Navy in Guam, stationed in Guam at the moment. My brother served in the Coast Guard. My uncles were served Vietnam. My grandfather is a Army World War II vet, and my sort of history goes all the way back to being a daughter of the Revolutionary War.
All right, that's a storied history there. So thank you both and your families. The next question, we're going to pit both of you against each other. I hope you're ready for a round robin game.
No, I'm going to be so bad at this. Okay.
Earlier in the conversation, it was mentioned that you have both learned a lot about the military, and oftentimes you are surprised about what you learn. We're going to go back and forth and see who runs out with military acronyms.
No, Judd. Oh, no. I'm going to be so bad.
Judd, you're
quarantine. Look, let me just preface this by saying I've been trying to homeschool 3 little ones over here, and
Judd,
my mind
don't apologize.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm
my mind is gone.
right now.
5 seconds, and then you get the virtual buzzer. Judd, first acronym to you.
Oh gosh. Okay.
You have to say one.
Oh, I have to give you one.
You have to come up with the acronym.
Okay.
HVT, high value target.
All right, Tony.
QRF, quick reaction force.
Oh gosh, and I'm out.
Well, that was a fast game of know your military acronym. Tony, you are the official winner.
It's a tie.
Judd, in the follow-up round, we'd like to know if you'd like to try and redeem yourself with 3 more acronyms.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Man, this is so tough because
We have not thought of these in so long.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And we get like new ones every script. Don't you go looking at a script right now. She's pulling out a script.
Adam, I'm ready.
That may be cheating. That may be cheating. We'll come back to the game. What type of physical training are you forced to do for the show? If you're training with the SEALs, can you please walk us through a workout?
So, yeah. So I don't do any training with SEALs, but physical training has become like a huge part of my life since doing this show. And you know, it's not like I was, it's not like I never worked out before this show. I mean, I would, but it became such a priority when I started doing the show. Because I remember about 6 or 7 episodes into the show, we were filming season 1. One of the consultants, Tyler or somebody, said, yeah, you know, or it might have been a writer. They said, you know, stand by because at some point, you know, the lieutenant commander, you may have to go out there in the field with the guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, okay. Because I just want to make sure that I represented well, you know what I mean? And so I began like dieting and exercising like crazy. And I've pretty much done that for the last 2.5 years. So, and anytime I'm around one of the SEALs, if they've got tips to give me, I'm all about it. I try to soak it up. But yeah, it's mainly just trying to keep yourself in tip-top shape while you're shooting, you know?
All right. Now we're ready for the next round of Let's See Who Wins. Tony or Judd, please name divisions, groups of the military that may come to mind. Judd, you're first.
That what come to mind?
Anything related to the military that is a group, a team, something that is of importance to you. And we'll see how fast you guys come up with quick.
Oh my gosh.
There's the DOD.
I was about to say, well, the DOD, Department of Defense, but you mean like, you don't mean branches.
Branches or divisions or groups within.
Well, let me just say this. All the divisions are incredible. I will say, like, with the help of the USO, I have managed, and Toni too, we've managed to visit, I think, almost every branch. Marines, Army, Navy, Coast Guard. We've been out to the Coast Guard several times. Air Force, and they're all important to us. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm not just saying that to say it. But as far as like rattling off, you know, I don't know, like, That's a tough one, like to name groups or whatever, but.
It is a difficult question. We will shift it up. Do either of you have challenge coins?
Oh,
So
man,
many
I've
challenge
got
coins.
this. Yes,
I've
I've got a ton.
got bags, I got buckets, like right there. I could just grab my buckets.
Go grab them. I'm sure the people that are watching would love to see them.
Are you serious? Because when she comes back, I'll go grab mine.
Perfect.
I
One of the
mean,
questions
I love
that
my
just came
challenge
in is,
coin
can you
collection.
please describe, and we'll wait for Toni to come back in. Toni, can you show us some of your challenge coins? Judd, go run and get them real quick. We'll have questions.
Oh my God, I've got so many great ones.
So Toni, what are some of the stories behind the challenge coins that you're going to tell us?
Well, didn't really know what a challenge coin was. And then when we started to do our pilot, we had one made for our pilot in New Orleans. We filmed our pilot in New Orleans. So this was our very first challenge coin, New Orleans. I'm sorry, it's backwards for you, but New Orleans 2017. So I was like, oh, this is what a challenge coin is. Oh, and that's not true. That's a lie, actually, because when I was filming, I had a recurring role on NCIS New Orleans as a Coast Guard investigative service agent. And when the Coast Guard, they had the Coast Guard there and had the Navy there, actually gave me some challenge coins. So I sort of started to know what they are. And then I really started to get the bulk of them when we were filming. And some of my favorites, though, came from when we traveled with the USO this summer. I went all over. We did Germany, Jordan, Kosovo, Kuwait, Djibouti, and Spain. And so I got some incredible, I'm getting them all mixed up now. I'm sorry, I'm not showing you. Got some incredible coins now. Let me pull some out. I've got, well, this is a good USO one. This is, I've got so many. Wish I could just show you. I've got like 30 coins here.
Do you have any stories behind when you got them that are memorable?
Gosh. Yes. I remember when, I was a theater major. So when I thought of the USO, I always thought of like Bob Hope and singing, dancing. So when Tracy asked us to go on this tour, I thought that that's what we were going to be doing. And so I was like, I'm the perfect person. I'm going to sing. And then they were like, no, you need to do something that's for your show, something they know you for. And so I didn't really know what my talent would be. So I ended up challenging one military woman in every country to a push-up competition, which ended up being so fun. And some of my favorite coins came after the show, where people were sort of like, okay, they was giving me some props and saying like I could hold my own. And so those were really memorable. And I got some wonderful patches too. Wait, are these my USO coins? These are my USO coins. Sorry, here we go. I got some incredible patches from USO. This is Operation Joint Guardian, K426. I got more K426 here. I got some amazing patches from all over.
Nice.
And these are all of my USO. These are all of my USO coins. This is from the Balkans. It's Kosovo. And that's the National Guard coin, actually.
Judd, Shay says that she or he thinks you owe them a drink because it sounds like you may have dropped a coin.
Oh, well, let me just tell you. I just ran down to the basement to grab, you'll see why. But I grabbed one of my coin deals. Yeah, so I've got another one of these that's full downstairs. And when I was bringing it out here, one of the coins just fell off the coin flag holder. So my apologies. I owe you a drink.
This one's from Djibouti. We got invited to the Chiefs mess, and I, played cornhole all night at the Chiefs mess and got this coin.
Nice.
All right. Shannon says hi from Yokota Air Force Base in Japan.
Hi.
What's up?
And we've got a question for you. Where did you get the flag display board? It's beautiful.
I'll have to look up the guy's name on Instagram, but there's a gentleman over in North Carolina, one state over from me, who does woodwork. And if you'll look on my Instagram, I actually have a picture of this flag, maybe about a year ago. Scroll back, but there's a picture, and I tagged him on there to tell him thank you. So you can go check that out, look it up, and see.
Yeah,
But
he made those.
All right, we've got a question that goes back to filming. Do either of you have a favorite episode?
Ooh, man. You go first, T.
Well, probably for selfish reasons. I mean, I have two favorite episodes. My first favorite episode is at the very beginning of Officer Candidate School, just because it was such a departure from what the platform of our normal SEAL team platform, like going to OCS with the character, totally leaving the mission, seeing what that was like, her every day, meeting a whole new cast of characters. I loved that adventure. We called it SEAL Team Camp every time we filmed any OCS stuff. And then I really loved the stuff that Judd and I got to do this season. Where were we? Caracas? No.
Yeah, Venezuela.
Yeah, we're in
Caracas,
Venezuela. And the talk, which you never think of, the talk got stormed. So the talk was compromised. We had to burn the talk down. And so we all experienced action. It was kind of a tough episode for my character, but I didn't mind it, just because we get in these situations where we see action, and as selfishly as an actor, you're like, I want to be a badass, right? But that's not what happened. Davis was like woefully unprepared. She got cracked in the head. Blackburn, had to come save her, and so she's sort of having bloody for episodes on end. But it was still fun to get out from behind a computer for a moment and just think about that. Whenever you think about the talk, you're thinking, oh, they're safe somewhere, but that's not always the case.
All right.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites, especially recently that we shot, where we got to pick up the guns and defend the talk, defend ourselves. But I've got two other favorites. One was the submarine episode where Sonny gets caught in the torpedo tube, and that was just an extremely
that was a heart-wrenching episode
to watch and to shoot. Also, the episode where we addressed the suicide situation, and it came to a head with Swanee, Clay's buddy. That one just ripped my heart out.
That was such a hard one.
And then going back to season 1, if anyone's been watching all 3 seasons, the 10th episode of season 1 was a very special circumstance, because we had already gotten a script for that episode, but unfortunately the action, the mission was something, it turned out to be something very close to what was happening in the real world. It was kind of too close to truth, and it had to be scrapped immediately with, I want to say it was like 8 days prior to us starting shooting. And our incredible writers and set design and the entire crew came together, because typically 8 days prior to the episode, they're prepping that episode. They're getting everything ready. They're casting roles. They're building sets. They're getting wardrobe ready. They basically had to do a rush job and write that episode and get it ready almost overnight. And it turned out to be one of our best episodes. It's the one where we stormed this house because a cell phone linked to a terrorist.
Great episode, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of and it's in real time. So it's minute by minute in real time. It's 1 hour of activity. It starts
to film like 24, like
yes,
you're in sequence.
Yes, and those are some of my favorites.
All right. Now, sticking on the TV theme, Toni, it sounds like you've been on The Price is Right.
So was Judd. Judd's my co-star. Yeah, Judd and I did The Price is Right together last year, and then I did it this year with the cast, yeah.
What other shows, game or not, would you like to be a guest on?
Oh, my dream is I really would like to be a guest on Henry Louis Gates's show on PBS, Finding Your Roots. I just want to get that big life book that he makes and does a deep dive into your history. I think it would be just so cool. So that's my ultimate show that I want to be on.
And I'm gonna go kind of classy on this one, and just say that probably something to do with some wrestling. Maybe a ring announcer, a special commentator, something like that. Yeah, put me on the wrestling show, darn it.
I want to be on a cooking show too. I feel like I should be judging cakes and cookies.
Well,
Don't you think, Jay?
rumor has it, Toni, that you're a bit of a foodie. Is that true?
Oh my God.
I am a foodie, and I love baking. I love baking. So that's been the hardest thing about quarantine for me, is like not baking every day if I'm ever going to. Like I need to, get back in that uniform at some point. So it's hard to not just test out cookie recipes and cakes every day. But yeah.
All right.
Tony's awesome at cooking. Yes.
It looks like we are just about out of time. Thank you both for being here. If you have one last word for the service members around the world, why don't you each take a moment? Thank you so much for joining us today.
We just wanted to thank you. We're so sad we can't see you all, but thank you so much for having us. And it is such an honor to be a part of, a show that is actually tethered to a real life community that we can try to tell your stories every week, and you just, keep up with you and do you proud, because you do us proud every day. Thank you so much. I know you're quarantining in impossible circumstances as well, so thank you.
Hey, you guys, every single one of you, we appreciate you day in and day out, especially during all of this. It did my heart wonders to do this, because it's kind of like if you're a painter, right? It feels good to paint, and you haven't painted for a while. That next time you go paint, it's like, oh, that felt so good. This is one of those things that I just love interacting with our military. I love doing anything like this. So after being locked in the house, homeschooling and whatever for so long, this felt so good to do. So once again, you guys helped me again. But thank you. We truly appreciate every single thing that you do and have done for us.
Thank you so much.
Here's our season 3 coin for all the folks that haven't seen it yet.
It is
It's
beautiful.
stuck in the plastic, but there it is.
Toni, Shannon says, go on, nailed it for your baking. Matt says, thank you guys for doing such an amazing job. We love your show. Amy says, thank you for your time and support. The service members that have been with us have loved this engagement. Thank you so much. And for everybody watching, thank you for joining today. Please check with your local USO Center for future MVP event information.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Much love.
Bye, Juddy.
Bye, T.